It's Wednesday, July 31st, 2019, and I have to sneeze, but I'm going to stop it. No, no, I'm not. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And this is the Pro and the Con Show, and I'm your host, Michael James Ott, who cannot stop himself from sneezing on occasion. There you go. So the intent of the show is to encourage us to, have a dialogue, be open to each other's, positions, at least listening to opposing views. This whole idea I've talked about in the past. You view a coin from your side, you see the likeness of Washington. I view the coin from my side, I see a likeness of the Statue of Liberty. And the truth is both are true, and so what you see and your perception of the coin is different than mine, but it's still the same coin. And many of these issues, just about every issue including yesterday, I talked about eating ice cream. I don't know about a single thing that there isn't pros and cons, good and bad, for and against, right? So let's open up our hearts and our minds to the idea that we have to look at these things. They're more complex than just, well, things are the way that I want them. No, they aren't. We have to do more. So today is July 31st, Wednesday, and last night, Tuesday night, there was a debate for the Democratic, 10 of the Democratic candidates. So there's a big field. There's 24, 20 of them qualified to make it into debates. There's another set of 10 candidates tonight that are debating. So last night it was Steve Bullock and Pete Buttigieg and John Delaney and John Hickenlooper and Amy Klobuchar and Beto O'Rourke and Tim Ryan and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Marianne Williamson. I've got a cheat sheet here. Put that up so you can see them all. There they are in splendid color. Kind of avatars of them, actually. But anyway, so I actually went to a location in Minneapolis where they're actually holding a little bit of an event. It was a debate watch party, basically party. And it was good. I enjoyed going there and talking to other people about the candidates. And I would encourage you guys to do that too, not to sit in loneliness, but to go talk to neighbors, co-workers, some about the candidates and what they think and why. Just, and you don't have to get into a debate about it, and I would strongly encourage that you don't, actually. But you can certainly just, oh, wow, that's, so you think this, okay, that's, and thereby check them out. So I'm gonna, so there's, and I've said this in the past, I'll say it again many times in the future. I'm looking for an alternative to Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, and this is not opinion, what I'm about to say, this is fact. So Mr. Trump is a con artist. He has, he's really quite adept at being a con artist. It's almost like a savant kind of thing. Some might say idiot savant, but savant nonetheless. This man really, when he's standing in front of those crowds, and he doesn't play the biggest venues, but 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people, which is not small, okay? But when he's standing in front of those crowds, people like him, one, because he's entertaining. Okay, he was on television, and when he talks, he's and he makes all these outrageous claims and all that. Well, it's entertaining. But they also say, well, he's real, and he tells it like he sees it. Well, what he's really doing is he's reading the room. He's reading the and it really almost telepathically. And that, if you go back to one of my previous videos, and I'll do it sometime in the future, you know, there's a list of these are the characteristics of a confidence man. And I don't know, there's 15 items in the list or something or other, and Mr. Trump just checks them off perfectly. So one, you know, 10 by 10 as far as you know, being a con man. But the other issue that I have is it's clear that he has some issues with early onset dementia. That you know, when this starts happening, when dementia starts to unfortunately attack somebody, well, they tend to have a tendency to degrade fairly quickly. Now, you know, I feel for the man because this early onset dementia is something that no one should wish on anybody. It's you know, no more than you would wish cancer upon somebody or some other, you know, horrific disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, you know, on and on. But that's something that he's going to have to face. But for us, you know, in the country, it makes it where it's almost impossible for him to continue, in my mind. I don't see how you could ask a man who's you know, suffering more and more every day from dementia to really do a good job leading a nation of 340 million people, especially when that one person has the launch codes for I don't know how many megatons of nuclear warheads these days. It's well enough to destroy the world many times over. So, con man, okay, you may or may not appreciate that. You may say it's great that he's a con man. You know, oh, he's not conning me. Well, okay. But dementia. Anyway, that's why I'm very much interested in trying to find an alternate person to occupy that office. And because of what we allow ourselves to do, which is we have these two parties. And that's, you know, we're kind of lazy, to be quite honest. We're too lazy to have multiple parties or to fix the system in a better way. And I'll talk about that here in a moment. Actually, I'm going to talk about it now. So when I got to the watch party early, and there was maybe 6 or 8 of us there for 10 or 15 minutes before more people came. We ended up with like 40 or more in the room. So we were talking about, you know, this idea of fixing our election system, where you kind of take aspects of jury selection and mix it with you know, more traditional election kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, those 6 or 8 people were, hey, that sounds like a pretty good idea, actually. And it is. It is a genuinely good idea. You're just going to randomly select people. And of course, not all of them are going to be appropriate, but that's why you have this initial screening, just like they do for jury duty. You know, have a bunch of random people, and of course, not 100% of them are appropriate for jury duty. But if you have someone, in this case, well, in the case of jury duty, it's the judge and the trial lawyers. And in our case, with these potential elected officials, it's us. And we you know, look at their backgrounds, we look at their education, and you know, there's maybe some short videos of them speaking, and, you know, maybe talking about what's most important to them, or maybe some points in their lives, stories in their lives that, you know, kind of determined who they are. All that kind of stuff would all be in this secure database that we could look at. And then we would go in and look, and, you know, we kind of rate them. One of the people last night said, well, maybe you get 5 votes. And, you know, your top vote is worth 5 points, and then 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. And then you just, you know, and then you rank them up that way. Well, I mean, all to be determined, but, you know, you could see that the light bulbs were on. And it's like, yes, that would fix this thing where we're constantly trying to elect officials that would be king. And also you have all this big money and special interests and stuff that are trying to inject themselves into the process, influence us. And of course, I've talked here recently, and I'll mention again today, the Great Hack. It's a documentary on Netflix, The Great Hack. Watch it. Because we should fix this. Okay, we should be able to fix this by, basically taking steps that automatically mitigate all of those issues. And will it be perfect? Well, probably not. Will it be far better than what we're currently doing? Probably. So that's the facts and stuff on this. And now, I'm very clear about you guys, get your own information, stuff like that. But and the who, the what, the where, and when. So I've just been describing things that are factual. Mr. Trump is a con man. That's a fact. He's in early stages of early onset dementia. That's a fact. And the Democrats, are trying to find an alternative, and the two political parties and all of that stuff is all factual. And this idea of replacing a lot of our election system with this kind of jury system meshed or as they say, mashed up with our election system. But anyway, so that's all fact kind of stuff. Now, I want to, now I'm going to switch. And you don't have to pay attention anymore. You can turn off the video at this point if you want to. But I just wanted to say a little bit about the candidates themselves. As I've been watching them, I've been trying to follow them very closely. I've watched every minute of all the debates so far. There's another debate tonight with the other 10 Democratic candidates that made the cutoff, and I will be watching that debate as well, every minute of it. But I have to say that it seems very clear to me that Mr. Buttigieg is actually an extremely talented person. And he just exudes the right kind of patience, tolerance, intelligence. Anyway, he's a fabulous, I wish I was anywhere near as good a public speaker as he is. And he just is, he's just incredibly bright, and it just feels, he just, like I say, he exudes this fair-mindedness and so on. So if it were me, and he's also fairly centrist in his views. And me personally, I think that that's more appropriate, because one of the problems we have is the left and the right. Some of those bases of those parties are so polar, where the vast majority of us want to really stay in the center, and that's why we end up voting left for a little while, and then voting right for a little while, and voting left for a little while, and voting right for a little while. We're really tracking or tacking, if you imagine sailing, we're tacking back and forth into the headwind of these polar parties, when the vast majority of us just kind of want to go down the center. Another analogy is it'd be like, we decide for some reason in our country that we want to drive on the left side for 8 years, and then we're going to switch. Now we're going to drive on the right side for 8 years. Bang, 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 bang. It just makes no sense. Anyway, so Buttigieg, and then the next one is Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. She does not have the speaking skills that Mr. Buttigieg has, or the like the presence in the room, if you will. But she does, all the other aspects of, being fair-minded and open to, dialogue and compromise and stuff like that. She just seems like she's great in that way. Then one of the guys that's on tonight, Mr. Castro, Julian Castro, will be on tonight. He seems like he's a pretty good guy. I don't know him as well as these others, but he certainly seems to have what it takes to do this. Then there's Cory Booker, who has really good speaking skills, and then Elizabeth Warren, then Bernie Sanders, then Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden. And those are, as I look at these candidates, the top preferences. If I had to spend the money, if I was hiring one of these people to be my president, if I, got out my checkbook and said, okay, I'm going to pay your salary, that's the list in order that I would select them. And the reason why Mr. Biden and Kamala Harris are kind of toward the bottom is they're too much lifelong politic kind of stuff. I don't like politicians. They what's it called? It's not going to come to me. Anyway, they say something to your face, but they do something totally different. It's not coming to me. There's a term for that, but it's not coming. Warren and Sanders, right above them, they're pretty solid people, but some of their ideas are just, to my mind, too far left for most people. And they just, now I wouldn't have a problem at all with some of the stuff that they're talking about if they were to provide more of a structure around them, like this thing about, free college for everybody. Well, surely there's got to be some constraints, because you don't want to, some guy that couldn't possibly get a degree in chemistry, for example, you don't want him trying to get a degree in chemistry because he can't possibly do it. Yet if it's college for everybody, free for everybody, then what's this, you're going to give that guy whatever, $100,000 over a handful of years. It just doesn't make sense, and then the other main thing is, you better be able to pay for these things, and you better be able to convince the American public that you can pay for them. So how are you going to pay for them? And you need to get, I don't know whether there's former members of the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO or whatever, but you need a dozen of these experts in economics and our economics, our country's economics, to say yes. If you, like Elizabeth Warren last night, she claimed that just taking 2 cents out of every dollar for the most wealthy people, over $50 million a year in income, would pay for, she listed off everything, free education, student loan forgiveness, free Medicare, on and on and on. She just, doesn't seem like the math works. Well, at least my impression is it doesn't work. But so if I had a bunch of experts that, here's the numbers, yes, these are the incomes of these individuals, and if you do the math and put it in a spreadsheet, and boop, you end up with $2 trillion a year. Okay, 2 cents on the dollar is $2 trillion, but that means that somebody is making $100 trillion? No. $1,000 trillion. I don't know. Worrisome. So anyway, running out of time. 20 minutes is up. So this is the Pro and Con show. Watch the debates. There's another set tonight. Then there'll be another set, I think, in September or something, they're saying. Watch the debates, folks. Try to understand if there's a candidate that you would prefer over Mr. Trump, keeping in mind that Mr. Trump is con man and early onset dementia. So try to find the best candidate. And then the other thing, for those of you out there that are very much opposed to Mr. Trump, when one of these candidates, right now there's 24 of them, eventually it's going to become one. And when it becomes one, whichever one of these candidates you just loved and you wanted to be the one, and it doesn't happen to be that way, you need to love them just like it was the one. And if you would have gladly gone door to door to support the one, and now this is the one that was actually chosen is a different one, maybe you don't quite as believe in their package of policies and stuff as much as the one that you really liked, or maybe you just don't like the way they look or they talk or whatever. Doesn't matter. You got to not only vote for them, but get out there and be active in supporting them. You know, give money to them, go door to door for them, call, whatever it is that you normally would have done for this person that you just loved and thought would be outstanding. Do this instead. All right. Until tomorrow. Bye for now.